Today is day 114 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today, in the first cycle, in the first year, corresponds to Rosh Hashanah. I'm not recording this on Rosh Hashanah, but it is the learning for Rosh Hashanah, and it is sponsored anonymously in the honor and for the schus of Sarah Liba Bas Yehudis. And although yesterday we started one of the most famous Simonim, the Arukh HaShulchan, not the most famous, today we get the actual reason why it's so famous. And here it is. And we are doing, actually, yesterday I think I finished one short. Did Ayin Hey Hey. I should have done to Ayin Hey Vav. So today, but we're picking up with Vav and going through as a result to Ayin Hey Yud Ayin Vav Zayin regardless. Right, so Ayin Hey Vav, we should start Ayin Hey Zayin today, and we say we're starting Ayin Hey Vav, which is a good thing in a way, because this is the beginning of the famous Arukh HaShulchan. Chasvur Abasei Balei HaShulchan Abasei base. This, as I said, Vav. Chasvur Abasei Balei HaShulchan Abasei base. Our Rabbein, the author of Shulchan Aruch, says base. Seir shel isha shel darko chasos. The hair of a woman that she normally covers. Also likros kenegdo. One may not read Shema opposite it. Afilu ishto, even if it is his wife. In other words, the hair which she should be covering and is not, even if it's mutzah for her not to cover at that point, you're not allowed to read Shema there. Ava besulos shadachim lech bruos or rosh. Women who are unmarried, who were never married, who normally go with their hair uncovered, mutar, it's allowed a person to read Shema opposite that. Vuadin, also the hairs which for women come out of their kerchief or tichel or whatever they're wearing, that's okay. Read Shema opposite those hairs, but koshke is nachris, and it's certainly opposite the hair of a non-Jewish woman. I feel that the chasas, even though she normally covers it, that's not considered to be erva. Had kind of shown it. That which it says that women who are unmarried also should not go with an uncovered head. Those are women who already have had relations. Such as widows and divorcees, not women who have never had relations before. That's the Chavos Morgan Beishmuel. To those who write, the apesula lo telech kishesaras suros v'loklos should not go with even a unmarried young girl or young lady should not go with her hair just flowing down over her shoulders or on her back, etc. And not when they're not braided, but rather they should be braided every time she's in public. By the old Yerushalmim, the Meir Sharm types, if a girl has two braids, pigtails, that means she is available. If a girl has a ponytail, then she is engaged, betrothed. If she has no hair, obviously, then she is married. So, Yeshua in the Chotzer, some people say that in a courtyard, mutaros kol nashim gam nesuos leilech b'gilui rosh. In a courtyard, meaning a private courtyard, but even if people come there, if it's a private courtyard, she's allowed to go with her hair uncovered. The Zohar is very against going with uncovered hair anywhere, certainly outside the house and inside the house as well, as much as possible. Unless you will come in darker legaloson, women who come from a place where there's not the custom to reveal the hair in a chutzner, to a place where there is, they not to the intent is not to go back, mutaros and they can remake and or reveal their hair in the chutzner. Mishnah Berurah becomes brings down from the Mishnah Berurah first says that the Machzit Shalmagi Burim are mako by the hair of an unmarried girl, that it can flow loosely, it doesn't have to be in a braid. Bialoch and bring Azan on the other hand, name of so Buskim, then are they age? It's an Isser Gomer to go with uncovered hair, even in her room and even in the courtyard. In any event, if it's a courtyard which belongs to the masses as public access, then everybody holds it's called a woman who goes to that courtyard with her hair uncovered is called Overes al Das Yehudis. The woman who transgresses Das Yehudis, the Jewish standards of behavior. The Moshe in the famous Tshuva says that even though the Gemara says a woman who's wears her hair uncovered, it would be grounds for divorce because she's aware of Das Yehudis. In our day and age, when the people are somewhat lax in this halacha, it's not grounds for divorce anymore. Zayin, Vata, and now, here it is. Bo nitzavin nitzaveach, let us come and shout. Apirtzos doreinu, on the shore, on the breaches in our generation. V'amrosein Rabbi is those of our great sins. She says, Shonim Rabos, it's many years, Shenifatu Benos Yisrael Bavon Zeh, that the Jewish girls have been prutzos, have broken down in this avera, v'ochos begili rosh, and they go with their heads uncovered. Chol masha tzaku al zehu lo le'izer. Oh, they shouted, this is no help whatsoever. Lo had no effect. As well known in Lithuania and other Eastern European countries before the Second World War, many women, wives of Chashuv Rabbanim and Rosh Yeshivas, did not cover their hair. It was a mitzvah which was Unachas B'Keren Zovis, which was sitting in a corner. Vata Pasta Mitzpachas. And now he says it spread, this plague, that women who are married go around with their hair on display just like they were unmarried. Woe to us that this happened nowadays. Miu! Al-Kapanim Ladino! According to the strict letter of the law, we are now permitted to make brachas opposite women whose head should be covered but are not. Since now most women go like down the street. It's like the place which are normally not concealed in their body, that there is the same parameter nowadays. All these things you mentioned are erva, are things which are not normally revealed. A virgin who's accustomed to go with her hair uncovered, lo chayshinam. It's not a problem. The lekahira, the hair does not generate the lascivious thoughts. Kevin should say gaman suas came, and since by us also the married women are like that, bimele the lekahira, the hair being uncovered does not cause lascivious thoughts. And he says in the brackets here, "Varifa Ramish Miklu Gamre Din Sarvakol." The Rambam don't bring down the halacha of Kobi Sherva and the halacha we're about to learn of Kobi Sherva. Mishum Sferi the law of Kriya Shema Itmar because it's not to Shema. It might have to do with somebody else. Other halachas of things in Evan Ezer, but not with Shema. They're not impediment to being Yotzei Shema or not forbidden to hear specifically during the time of Shema. The Mishnah Berurah brings down that even if a woman's derech and her derech of her friends, that place to go with their hairs uncovered in the marketplace, like women who are prutzos, it's forbidden to read Shema opposite them because they have mitzvah din, they have to cover their hair. So this Arukh HaShulchan is famous and infamous. It's infamous for being distorted. Many people distort and twist this Arukh HaShulchan. So the Arukh HaShulchan does not require women to go b'tzman hazeh with covered heads. This is an error that's not Arukh HaShulchan says at all. He says b'avanot saying no robbing. They go that way. What the Arukh HaShulchan is saying is that hair is a unique kind of erba because hair does not necessarily cause hirur. It's a din that it has to be covered. So therefore, in our day and age, when most women go around with their hair uncovered, so uncovered hair is not a source of inappropriate thoughts, and therefore one can read Shema and in the presence of such a woman. Next test, Kvaris Ba'erdo, Sur, Likros, Kriya Shema, Keneged. I'm sorry, skip the whole sif there. Ches, Yeshes Mishmis Kol Zemer Isha, B'shas kriyas Shema. You should be meticulous not to hear a woman singing when you're saying Shema, even if it's your own wife. Mishnah Berurah writes that if there's an oinus, he can't get out of hearing it. Since it's not in the Torah, neither Kobi Sharba or Sarbi Sharba is in the Torah itself. It's they learned that from Sukkim and Nach. So therefore, if you don't have a choice, you're allowed to say Shema and make brachas. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. As we said, it's not your wife, it's also to listen to her singing anytime. Mishnah Berurah writes that a young girl who's Jewish, who's not yet a Nida, you're allowed to hear her and not when Kriya Shema is not a time Kriya Shema, but you should not have in mind to have Hanoah from the voice, which would be inappropriate. I don't know if it's literal translation of Kobi Erva, but because she's not Erva at that point, but it's inappropriate. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. V'chein Arukh HaShulchan instead of saying brachos Kobi Erva, a voice when a woman is like nakedness. It's only her singing, not her talking. That's okay. Mutar b'ishto gam le'kriyas shema, and a voice which he's accustomed to he's allowed to hear even from his wife. I'm sorry, he's mutar from his wife. Even at the time of saying Shema, because I guess with the wife is singing what she always sings, so that it doesn't arouse her. But if she's singing something unique and special, then it might involve her, and then it's also. Mishnah Berurah writes that even further, which that call a ragyobo mutar filu be'eshes ish. I don't know exactly how that works, but somehow it's okay. But it sounds. But I think he means with the Yemen, like the following Mordechai. Mordechai Shem Shem Ramet we met. Hilkach also lomar davish b'kedusha. She has kol shir shel isha. You can't say some holy passages when you're listening to the woman singing. But in our saints in our times, we can't really get away from them. So we're not careful not to learn when we hear the singing of non-Jewish women. So this is only when they are singing. Not when they're using a musical instrument. The musical instruments does not provoke lascivious thoughts, as not considered to be a nakedness. Important to note that most poskim are making Kol Yisha through a radio, even singing if you don't know what she looks like, because Ein Yetzer Sholit Amash Ein of Rose. So there, and some poskim rely, and when it's Shirei Kodesh in the Zuniah study, and Trei Chali Lo Mishtamoy. As long as you're singing in a group, it's not a problem. So there are various different heterim which exist outside of the Arukh HaShulchan itself. So test Kfaris Bar also Likro Kriya Shema Keneged Erva. Now that we read Kriya Shema opposite and open genitals which are revealed, uncovered, feel neged Ervas Benach, and even opposite genitals of a non-Jew. Feel neged Ervas Katan, and even opposite the genitals of a minor. Yes, we're Keneged Ervas Katan. Being permitted to create Shema opposite the genitals of a minor, Kosman and Royal Bia. As long as he's not capable of having relations. Finding medication Sharim Yom Echad, if he's less than 9 years old. L'chein Ikar Ledina, that is the primary halacha. Which adds by a minor girl, it's up to 3 years old. There's some people who don't hold on to the child's genitals, b'shasa bracha amila. When they're making the bracha amila, yesh osin, some will do hold. V'ad rabba, b'zel lo shayach erva. It's a fascinating thing. And this is not shaykh erva. At the genitals of the child, get bris milah, and no way can be considered erva. Because your involvement is in order to sanctify it with the sanctity of a bris milah. Prima Guardian says that now, when we're not so bucky, not so conversant with the technique, usually there is a potential sakona. If you don't hold on to the genitals and steady them, and therefore you must do it, and the Gra and they're also passing that way as well. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan Yud, Erva Ba'Shashis, if you see an erva through a glass, even though the erva is covered, and by excellent this would be permitted, when it's an erva, it's usher, because the erva because she can be seen. It says should not be seen. And it is seen. Also, somebody's wearing a see-through garment. Have a see-through garment. Have a erva gluya. Then it's if the genitals are revealed and you can't read Shema. Then at that point with that woman present. That's why it's a question about television. Because television, you can see her. So maybe a little everybody's lover. On the other hand, it's not really a woman, it's pixels which look like a woman. So it's a whole question in halacha. Okay, back to the Arukh HaShulchan Yud Aleph. Because many of it says some steep above. There's an erva directly in front of you, and you turn your face away from her. Close your eyes. Or it's at night when it's dark. Or he's blind. Mutter close, you can reach ma. The B'r'iyah Ta'ala Rachman has to do with seeing. Well, Halo Chati Lois doesn't see her. Akal Shama. For Rabbi Mchokin, many people Rabbi says the Mishum Davar Lo Mahani. Nothing works, closing eyes, etc., except Rak Achzor Spanim, turning completely away. Perusha Shelo Lo Yira'eh, that because when it says it should not be seen, ain't no Shu Lo Yira'eh. It's not that you shouldn't see. So it shouldn't be suitable to be seen. Okay, my money, so that's the case. What goes to do to close your eyes? Oh, Lila. Or if it's nighttime, or Suma, or a blind person. Since the people, other people standing in a place can't see, it would be made also to reach Ma there. This is the primary halacha. Mr. Bohr writes that if the erva is under glass, then closing your eyes definitely works, because the erva is at least covered. So certainly if you're having the presence of a television or a movie, you're showing inappropriate figures, so then close your eyes and you'll be good enough. Okay, Sif. We're still middle here in Yudalf. But Arukh HaShulchan says that closing eyes or the other things which agency gave when we're talking about proximity to an erva, if they don't work, and even turning your face away doesn't work. Turn your body to the other direction. Rabbi Anna raised him in his ayin daled. The hero mutter gam neged erva. Thoughts of Torah, thoughts of Shema are mutter even opposite the genitals. Ayin sham. Ayin vav. Lizem yitzua b'kriya shma's kriya shma. Be careful of excrement at the time of Shema. Alec, find inspired the Tzor have ke'erva. We're explaining that excrement is like arayas. It's like genitals. Possibly crows, kriya shema, with feet smile of lumar brachas. You can't say shema or daven or say brachas to limud and learn. Makom she's talking about a place where there's excrement opposite you. The tzor chamir erva. Excrement is more severe than erva. The tzor gabihir eslar. By excrement you can't even think words of Torah. Koshavnu race sim and ayin dalet. In one respect, the excrement is more less severe than genitals. The erva by shashis, if you have an erva behind glass, also close connected, you can reach my opposite her. Much time no semen, I go there, like we're in the previous semen. I have a toe by shashis, but the toe is covered in glass. Mutter, it's okay. I've got the mischazia, even though it can be seen. The Torah kids to Tosa. The Torah makes excrement permitted when it's covered. It says you should go back and cover your excrement. And glass is a cover, right? It's transparent, but still cover. Okay, obviously, so there's nothing. So even though you see through walls, mutter, you can reach in that area as long as it's behind glass. Base. If you have excrement in a hole in the road or something, put your shoe over the hole. The correct creation on each one. It's considered to be covered. That's only if the bad smell doesn't reach it. There's a bad smell also. It's forbidden. In our opinion, it holds that a wall, a barrier, works for a bad smell. Zeu mechitza. That's a real wall. Loki sabam, not just a covering with one's foot. Also, even when you use sandal, can't touch excrement. When the sandal have a gufadam, since the sandals are on your body, when the sandal touches the excrement, have to let so al gufo. So the excrement is on your body. You see some odd people who come out from the bathroom, come to the key places unclean. The kanech etev minolav. Wipe his shoes clean well. Calling for these base of meresh is before they go to shul to daven. Gimel hevil tzara milafonov. They removed the tzara from in front of you. Klomar shu korek liyashma. Oh no, that's not me. Sorry. Hevil tzara means they pass it in front of you. Klomar shu korek liyashma b'char no say tzara front of. He's being shma and somebody else, not connecting him, is carrying excrement in front of him. It's also reach in those circumstances. Even though the Torah is just passing through and it's going to be gone momentarily, nevertheless it's also. The sub like a machanah kodesh, because in the found houses your camp is not holy. Chink shatzol veres when you connect it enough. Therefore, when the excrement passes from in front of him, it's still usher. It's still usher even if it is 4 amos for him. So he's got to distance himself as far as the eye can see. If the so it's behind him, it's only 4 amos necessary. Below, as long as, of course, the fragrance does not reach him. It's on the sides, not in front of him, not behind him, for the sides. So tell me that Tzayim Shlo Gankin died without Amos, then 4 Amos is enough. Kamachrav like it's behind you. Shut up there, mine. Stand where the water and the excrement is floating in the water. It's the same halacha. Yesh mishu rotzol lekel lefanav ba'al 4 amos. If you want to be leaning, even if it's directly in front of you, beyond 4 amos, then ikar, it is not the primary halacha. The Magen Avraham named the Bach and doesn't want to be meko, but the Rabbah and the Bach says that 4 amos is all we're going to give you if it's an inhabited area of any sort. The Mishnah Berurah writes that b'yeved, if you read Shema, when this excrement goes right in front of you, but outside 4 amos, then you read Shema again without the brachas, but by tefillah, which is only Rabbani, you don't go back. He also writes that on the sides, in front of you, it's possible ultimately make more than Dar Amos, even though it's in the line of sight. So the side, you can be Mako. And say if it's Arab Amos away from the main highway, that's okay. Okay. Dalit. So b'mayim enemies batel. You can't dilute excrement in water. Okay, the mayim achurim, unless the water themselves are murky. She'et so nikabam, so the excrement is not recognizable in them. V'dafka she'en kan reach ran. Of course, it's only when there's no bad smell. Upi chazir. And the mouth of a pig, kitsoa overis, Tami. The mouth of a pig is like passing excrement. Pigs are eating refuse, and therefore the mouth of a pig is said to be refuse in terms of Shema. But I feel olamina harm. Even the pig is coming out of the river. He's a brand new pig. Then if it's some else, so the washing does not work for him. The avi kaguf shel rei, he is like a body of defecation. Okay, use a hand when you spell basis bias. Shechazir mitzuyim sham. Don't have in a house where there are pigs prevalent. Also, so shum bracha. Not like a bracha in that house. Plus, in the tefillin, put a tefillin there. Okay, drachim tzrichim lizer b'zeh ma'od. And people are traveling certainly have to be very careful because frequently there is unburied soa by the side of the way, even randomly. Okay, hey. If he had some bit of excrement on his skin, but it was covered with his garments, or he put his hand into a bathroom through a hole in the wall, but he doesn't sense the bad smell. That's not klikas. You're allowed to read Shema in the situation. The scene says, all the neshama should praise God. The tools of breathing, it means the lungs, and the mouth and the nose are praising, and not the other limbs. And therefore not concerned with their cleanliness. As long as the excrement is covered. Chris said, no, it's still no good. Because it says, Hashem, oh, my bones, all of my innards will say, well, Hashem, who is like you. Therefore, all the limbs are included in the praise. So they have to be clean. The Rif and Rosh Baskin, it's permitted to be Kriya Shema by the Tzom Mechusa. Or by Tzon other limbs, other than the right ones. In any event, so Chemis one to reach one of those circumstances. Chemis one Rambam Peragim Alach Din Yav. So that comes good from Rambam as well. However, Rabbeinu Chananel Pasak Rav Chisda the Osir, he says it's Osir. The Allah grab him, but it seems to levels like the masses, and therefore you're allowed to read Shema under these circumstances of lack of the kiss, but only if it's covered, right, with your garment or whatever. But Achor Rabbeinu, he says because of Sita Achar Shavi Shnei Deos, it brings both opinions. The issue is Shaloitir Amatir B'Sorrow, that even the ones who permits does not permit when excrement on his flesh, unless you can cover it on its own without a garment. It's like if you go with your elbows like that, you can cover it up, or under your armpits. But it's best to be machmer. Tam Zeyozu, that opinion is Mishum the Ain't for a Klalatir Mamash the Tzah B'Soro. You can't be matir excrement on his flesh. The Pshit that ain't Kamal Yamanecha Kadosh. and obviously included in Bayom Echad Kadosh. That's got to be holy. On the side. See, the ain't covered. There is no Machane Kadosh issue here because the stuff is covered. Okay, but if it's not covered at all, then there's no svara to be matir it. Why? Because I lost this here. Again, so Achrabim says because if the Achash Mishneh the Osti Yeshurин Shloite Amati Betzor Absor Makom Shi Nichses Meleb Lo Mabush Konat Siriyad V'Nachon Soski V'Amakra Akal Shal. Tam say Azum Mishum Ein Tzvar Klal Atir Mamash Betzor Absor. There's no reason to be matter Tzor on his literally on his kingdom. She's the Ein Kam V'Yom Menachal Kadosh. There's no swear to matter that because it's not Kadosh. It doesn't keep the camp holy. Just because you can't see it, but you know it's there. Even though it's covered with garments. It's still on his body. And the body is no worse than the it's so machane, like machane Shechina, machane Levia, machane Yisrael, which we had in the midbar. So here, since your body is like your own machane, it's going to be a shortcoming in by machanecha kadosh, and that's true. Even the gufare lo nera lo kara mi machana at machane atzma, even though the body was not lost anything from its camp. Lo mahani lo kisui. I guess can't cover because the excrement is still going to be revealed under the cover. This goes cloud, so it has to be someplace which can never become revealed, but such between his elbows, and that's why it can still be Machanecha Kadosh. Zayin, V'gam Rambam Zal Nishmar Makushi Zul. Rambam also was came from himself this question. Shekasav Shami writes there, place in the Tishat Soro Absoro, if there was a little scrap of excrement on his flesh, or his hands are dirty from the bathroom, but there was no bad smell, cloud, at all, none, because it's a small amount of excrement, or they're very dry. Mutar Likos, you're allowed to reach. Shema, Akal Shona. The Tishat Soa, that which is removal of Tzoa, or Lotza Mamish, El Rishmei Tzoa. Tish Tzoa is okay. Klomar, Lotza Mamish is only true by not Tzoa Mamish, but by Rishmei Tzoa, but by vestiges of Tzoa. He doesn't speak about putting your hands in the bathroom. But your hands are dirty from the bathroom. Like you wipe yourself, there's a dove or something. And there's still some muck which remains an impression on his hand. So talking about the Marishin in Lamain. Where there's no water, the mechanic the swore, or because he has to wipe his hands on a stone or on a wall. Some will see iron sham. We are kapari, nevertheless, Kamaramam loit here, rak b'chai gavna. Over ze atzmo kosav acharkach, the kamagon imharush also lowly cross, imayum yodam mitunafos, if his hands were dirty, the chen rohi lasos, and that's appropriate to do, ad kan leshona. We'll stop here for today. Be in the right place. Zion. I love Zion to stop.